Our lawyer just called, and apparently we have to say that no games... Yeah, we can barely afford them. No games were harmed in the making of today's show.
But that's not true, Vic.
Okay, some games were harmed in the making of today's show.
And those games that were harmed, they had it coming.
Welcome to Reviews on the Run. Today on Reviews on the Run, Jose and Ben prepare to sink one another in Battleship. Scott and I take to the skies in Ace Combat Assault Horizon Legacy. Steve and Raju test out the VooMote Zapper. Scott jumps into the apocalypse in the buried treasure with Darksiders. Shaun and Marissa square off in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And Miri and Ben prepare for war on the high seas in Battleship.
Welcome to the show, everybody. It is kind of true. That's what we do around here. We hurt bad games. We can't help it.
We have to take them out.
We do it for you.
That's right. It's blockbuster time. Battleship is here. Movie and video game. Here's the video game review with Ben and Jose.
It's a very rare event today, Jose. You know what we're doing?
We're standing here in the grass.
That's not rare at all. We do that all the time. But what we're doing is we're taking a look at a game based on a movie, based on a game. We're going 3 deep today. It's Battleship.
This is going to be amazing. It's like C4 to B3. Hit.
Yeah.
Miss.
If only we were so lucky.
This is a first-person shooter. This game just totally caught me off guard, and I didn't expect it to be a shooter. You're fighting aliens as they look like humans, which, again, I didn't quite
They
understand.
also kind of scream like humans, too, when you kill them. They're like, ooh, and I'm like, shouldn't an alien do something like...
You also have teammates, squad mates that are with you.
You're describing like 4,000 games right now. And
Well, this is a little bit of all 4,000 of those games. It doesn't really do anything new. It does offer the...
It does. It has one big new thing.
Yes.
Which is that you can also control ships out in the ocean.
Yes, like Battleship.
Right, and you bring up a little thing and it looks like a little Battleship game.
Yeah.
And then you've got your little guys and you move them around and they're yelling at you. You gotta move the SS Adams over to the thing because a ship's gonna come kill you. And then you can actually just move these guys around a map. And then occasionally, as you kill guys in the first-person shooter, you get abilities you can give to these ships. I kind of like the idea.
I did. I thought it was cool. You get a lot of different abilities too. You get the ability to actually take control of the ship for 20 seconds, but I didn't like that in the fact that when you take control of a ship, you can only shoot at one ship that they choose for you. I couldn't figure out. I mean, I guess
it's not even really shooting, you just blow the thing up.
You pretty much
just like smashing on all the triggers, just like die.
A little bit of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of this, boom.
This is a cool idea. This, you know, you're kind of playing a first-person shooter, and then occasionally you go out and control these ships. You watch the ships moving in the background. It's kind of neat watching them kind of come into the...
Make sure that I'm got my guys surrounding islands. I'm like, all right, guys, in case stuff goes down.
You see him as you're running around in the first-person shooter. I love that. But what I didn't like was just how it was working. You just constantly stopping the action to bring up your little thing, and like the strategy.
And it takes so long to load too. You're like, click.
Here's my map. Oh, there are my guys.
Indeed,
I'm gonna move this thing to do here, and then you gotta wait for it to load, and then there you are back out in the battlefield. It takes forever to do it. There's no variety in the enemies. There was no variety in the environments. You're on these islands in the South Pacific, and they all look exactly the same. The bases all look exactly the same.
Yeah.
You do the same thing over and over. You have to plant the explosive on the thing. You gotta run away, and here comes more guys. You gotta defend it, and they have no AI. You throw grenades.
You started dying a lot, and then that gets boring. You're like,
totally gets boring dying.
oh, why? I shouldn't be dying right now. I should be shooting stuff in the face.
This should have been a $15, $10 buy. This is a $60 game. There is no multiplayer, so you're not going to be playing this first-person shooter online. There's also only maybe, I think, 7 or 8 missions. I mean, I breezed through this campaign. You do the same thing over and over again. There's nothing in here.
No Rihanna.
I can't believe they are charging $60. I would rather see the film. 2 hours, you're in and out, your pain's over.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think people are going to be rushing out to get the Battleship game.
Well, certainly not after this review, my friend. What are you going to give this game?
I'm giving it a J3.
All right, I'm going to give it a B4.
Sank my Battleship.
Thanks, Ben and Jose. Hey, woo-woo, the Gadgeteers are in the house.
Well, they're not in the house. We don't let them in the house.
It's just an expression, Vic.
That's right.
Here's the Gadgeteers.
Being the high-tech guys we are, we have a lot of gadgets, a lot of game consoles, a lot of devices that play video, and so it's really important to have a remote that can control all this stuff. Today we're looking at a gadget that works with your iPhone, your iPod Touch, your iPad. It's called the VooMote Zapper. It's a little dongle you attach to your iDevice, and it turns it into a fairly powerful, customizable universal remote.
You said dongle.
man. Are we there already? We're there already.
And I have to say, the VooMote Zapper is perfect for me.
Perfect for you.
At $55 to $70, depending on where you get it, this is a very, very cheap alternative to sort of get into the high-end universal remote.
That's true, because I mean, a lot of these high-end remotes, like there literally are $400 universal remotes. First, let's talk about what this thing does. Basically, you plug it in, you download a free app, and it allows you to tell it what devices you have in your home entertainment setup, be it the game consoles or the brand of TV you have, and through a little bit of tweaking, it basically becomes a remote for each of these devices. Now, you can group all this stuff together, so you've got screens on your iPad or on your iPod or your iPhone, and you're basically just using your iDevice as a remote. It's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. Now, a couple of things that are even cooler. Multi-room. You can set up zones within your house, so, you know, living room and then upstairs sound room or whatever.
Sound room? You have a sound room? What's the sound room?
Music room, I guess.
Man, I like a lot of things about this. I like the fact that you can basically build your own remote. You can build the buttons, you can label them, decide what functions you want them to do. But I'm coming from a place where I've messed around with universal remotes for a long time, and I have this one remote that I'm very fond of that does everything. And I found the Zapper did not quite live up to that, but then again, it's a quarter of the price too.
I'm not giving up though. I actually think I'm gonna buy this device. And then the fact that you can use it all around the house, and like, you know, we're already a 2 iPad house. I've got an iPhone. This thing, once you create the app in your zone, it goes from each device as well. Like, I mean, I went from my iPhone to my iPad and boom, it was already preset.
Yeah, and the dongle is so small.
I'd be afraid of losing it. It's so tiny. That's the one thing.
Your child might swallow it.
Yes,
Seriously,
exactly.
keep that off the coffee table.
It's really, really small. I love this thing when I got it working, and like I said, it's gonna be a really cheap alternative to what is surprising, potentially big ticket electronic device for a house. And you know, it just does a lot of things really well. I really liked it. I'm gonna give it an 8.5.
I'm a little more picky, so I'm gonna give it a 7.5.
Hey everyone, I'm Tyler. I'm the co-host and director of a new TV show called The Water Brothers. And right now I'm really into Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. I just love that game. I'm usually pretty busy on the road, so I don't get to play that much, but when I'm back in the city, I play as much as I can. I really love the gameplay. The fighting is just fantastic in that. You just get really engaged in it. And the story is great too. It really reminds me a little bit of actually World of Warcraft, but without the crazy addiction and the monthly fee to play. If you haven't had a chance to check out Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, I definitely recommend it. It's a great game.
There's another one, another fan of that terrific game.
Congratulations, you have 3 people now.
Come on, you know, I recently tweeted about, you know, what are people's observations of the best games of the year so far in 2012. This game came up a lot.
The other night I couldn't sleep, put this game on, I was out.
We'll be right back.
Out.
Still to come, the battle for Earth begins at sea. And worlds collide as heroes and legends duke it out. But after the break, aerial combat soars onto the 3DS.
Don't worry, Phoenix, I've got your back.
It is buried treasure time again, everybody. Today I dug up a game from 2010. This is from Vigil Entertainment. It is called Darksiders. Now imagine this. Imagine that the God of War franchise and the Zelda franchise went out on a couple of dates, decided they liked each other, held hands, kissed, and they ended up making a baby. That baby would look very much like this game. Now, you play the game as one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. You play as War. Apparently, you're going to play as Death in the sequel, Darksiders 2, which comes out later this year. And War is a total badass. He's got all kinds of crazy, over-the-top moves where he can actually uppercut enemies with a sword swipe and send them flying into the air and then bash them back into the ground. He just constantly feels like a one-man wrecking machine in this game. Now, each particular dungeon of the game, you have to go in, you have to explore the entire dungeon, find all kinds of different treasure chests, and then everything culminates in a showdown with a gigantic boss. Now, I feel like there are a lot of Darksiders fans out there. There are a lot of proponents of the game. Obviously, enough people bought it to merit a sequel, but I still feel like this is a game that was a little bit underappreciated when it first came out, and I think it was in particular underappreciated by me. I love Darksiders. I can't wait for the sequel. It was so fun to go back and revisit it again. I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10.
Darksiders, incredible stuff. I can't wait for the sequel.
Yeah, I just finished it over the weekend. I am so hot and horny for the sequel. I can't wait to play as Death.
Don't tell us you're horny on the show. It's weird.
I'm horny. It's just a fact.
Let's take a look at Ace Combat, but for the 3DS.
Today, Vic and I are talking about Ace Combat Assault Horizon
We are.
Legacy. Yes, that's 5 words and probably 2 words too many for a video game name.
Yeah, I think people should pay attention to the way Apple names some of their products.
Just put an I in front of one
Well,
word.
just one word
Yeah.
usually works sometimes.
I
you know?
Ace Combat.
Or Ace Combat for the 3DS or something, because that's
Yeah.
what everybody's going to shorthand call this thing anyways.
So this came out last year,
Yep.
but we were very busy at the end of 2011. Finally, we're getting around to this 3DS game that's actually pretty good.
Don't worry, Phoenix. I've got your back.
I was surprised that I enjoyed this thing as much. It's got some elegant production values to it, some pretty decent music and voice
good
acting.
voice acting,
It's a little
yeah.
cheesy, but it's in the Ace Combat vein. I've always been a fan of this franchise.
See, I haven't always been a fan of this franchise. I can't tell one Ace Combat from
I know.
the next.
They
And
do blur.
I don't have any fantasies about going into the skies and flying these super jets and stuff. Like, I don't care.
You don't like flight combat games?
Nope, I don't
I
really.
love them. I mean,
I like Star Fox, and that's
and
the beginning
Crimson
and the
Skies?
end. And Crimson Skies, okay, you got me there. Whenever they fetishize these war machines and stuff like that, I'm
Yeah.
not into it. I like more cartoonish takes
Sure,
on this
okay.
kind of genre. That's why Crimson Skies and Star Fox,
You
that's
like
why
a
they
more
work for me.
fictional slant on this stuff,
Here-
but this is pretty cartoony. I mean,
It
they
is, right.
you
That's
know,
why I liked
aspire
it.
to have some realism in this thing, but it's very accessible, very easy to play. And in fact, that might be one of the biggest faults with this game. It's only a single-player game.
a little too easy.
You're going to fly through it very quickly, no pun intended. And
intended.
there are some challenge missions and stuff like that afterwards, but it does feel pretty slight for almost a full price. They do knock a little bit of cash off of the sticker price on this thing, but it's still an expensive game
Yeah, it's
considering how short it is.
It retailed for about $30. It's probably
Yeah.
even cheaper than that by now.
Yep.
But what I love, my favorite moment in the game is when you're in your jet and you hit the gas and you see the little blue ring on the tailpipe of your jet just sort of like glow, and you just feel this.
It's pretty
You feel the
decent.
G-force
Yeah.
like pushing back on your face from the 3DS screen.
It's cool. The sense of speed is great. I think the 3D effects are pretty great. You have an ample allotment of missiles that you can take down all kinds of
man.
enemies with. You can try the machine guns for a little while, but you're going to be just blasting away on the missile button. But the big thing that's happened with Ace Combat, I think Ben and Jose touched on this with the console version of the most recent Ace Combat game, is they have all of these avoidance maneuvers and sort of
Oh, yeah.
super maneuvers that are really
Love
easy
those.
to pull off. They're flashy as hell, but they make the game so simple.
Did you
because
feel like Goose or Ice or
I felt like the Iceman.
about
sure.
Lightning?
No, I did not feel like lightning
Easy.
from. No, I did not feel like lightning or easy from Red Tails.
These games are such expansive experiences, and you're viewing it through this tiny little window, like with one eye.
Yeah.
And I would much rather just have it on the console. I'd much rather be sitting in my living room playing on a 52-inch television.
So what are you gonna give it, buddy?
Gets a 6.5 from me, Vic.
It gets a 7.5 from me.
I see.
Thanks, guys. Great work as always. You know, The Avengers isn't opening in theaters this weekend, but we could still celebrate some Marvel madness.
Listen, we talked about this. Can we get through one episode without you saying the A word?
No, it's my favorite word. Here's Shaun and Marissa.
What better place to talk about a game full of Marvel superheroes than a comic store full of Marvel superheroes? We're at Stadium Comics, and we're talking about Marvel vs. Capcom 2. This is the iOS port of this game that has been ported to many, many different consoles already. Everyone knows how we feel about virtual joysticks and buttons, and the iPad is a good device, but it's unfortunately not good to emulate a standard game controller, so it's definitely not good enough to emulate an arcade stick.
Right, of course, especially when we're playing a fighting game like Marvel vs. Capcom, where you want to lay down these super awesome combos, and you just can't do it successfully.
You lose.
Oh Lord, does it ever feel terrible trying to play this game?
It just sucked that on this version, I was having such trouble playing it. First of all, it's so awkward to hold your iPad
Oh, man, it's
and
so
play a
awkward.
fighting game. I chose the option that had 6 buttons because I wanted a little more variation. I wanted the light punch and the heavy punch, light kick,
But
heavy
you
kick.
also wanted to replicate a little bit of your fight stick.
Exactly, but there's just no way. It doesn't compare. And pulling out these combos, next to impossible. Like, I was lucky if I could do a fireball.
You're trying to hold the iPad or the iPhone, you're trying to hold it in a certain way where you can still lay down combos, but it's almost impossible to do. I know that we keep stressing that point, but we just need a better way. We need a better way.
It's the big holdup for this version of the game. I mean, everything else is great. I love the cheesy music, the intro, Take You for a Ride. There's a great cross-section of characters from both the Capcom universe and the Marvel universe. We've got heavy hitters like Spider-Man, Venom, Ryu. We've got Zangief, Jill from Resident Evil. they're all here. You can unlock other characters, which I think was a little bit of a downside to this version of the game because you have to play a lot of the game to unlock characters.
And
I
it's
have
almost
this
impossible to play.
Yeah, and I have this on Xbox Live, and it came with all the characters unlocked already.
The only thing we're talking about in this review really is the controls because that's the only thing that's going to hinder us from recommending it.
What I will recommend is that if you do need a fix of Marvel vs. Capcom goodness in a handheld format, you should pick up Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 for the PS Vita, because that is just perfection.
Okay, so we're staying away from iOS then. Shaun Hatton, what are you scoring it?
I'm going to give this one a 4.5.
Ooh, yeah, I'm giving it a 3.
This is one of those funny games that I kind of want to own, but I will probably never play, only because the game is so awesome. I feel like I owe Capcom some money.
Incredible game, inappropriate platform.
We need one of these.
We're learning every day on the show. We'll be right back. Coming soon to Reviews on the Run, the Men in Black return to save the universe once again.
Don't even worry about it.
Tom Clancy unleashes modern warfare in Ghost Recon Future Soldier. Max Payne travels to Sao Paulo, Brazil for his latest adventure. But coming up next, man the battle stations. Welcome back to Reviews on the Run. Hasbro did it before with their Transformers franchise. Can they do it again with their board game?
I don't think they can, because I never wanted to collect the little Battleship pieces. I wanted the Transformers.
They're robots, right?
They're robots.
Guess what?
These battleships are robots?
There's robots in this.
For those of you that are wondering how you could possibly turn the Hasbro game Battleship into a movie, well, now's your chance to find out. Battleship is hitting theaters as we speak.
Prepare to fire.
Sir, which weapons?
All of them.
Miri, I don't care what anybody says. I thoroughly enjoyed Battleship. Let's get something out of the way right now. Battleship is stupid. As soon as the movie starts and you see presented by Hasbro, I think that was when you really know for sure. You're like, oh, maybe it's not gonna be that dumb. Yes, it is based off a board game, and
it's based off like a really simplistic turn-based board game too. It's a grid. I mean, I have been wondering since I heard this movie was in development, how they were gonna possibly turn such a simple game into a full feature, but they did it.
And the answer is dump a whole bunch of money and a whole bunch of aliens in it.
Not dead! Not dead!
And you know what?
VFX.
It's inspired, I think. Battleship is so much fun to watch. Miri knows how I feel about the movie Armageddon. This seems to be calling back to that day. It's a very 90s action movie where it's like, oh, Taylor Kitsch is a bad boy and he just wants his sweetheart's dad to like him. Sweetheart's dad, played by Liam Neeson. Sweetheart by Brooklyn Decker. I mean, if anybody had any doubts about Battleship, all you need to know is it stars a pop star, a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model, and Liam Neeson. And that, like, what more could you want?
Light him up.
I mean, it's very easy in a way to make a big budget movie with lots of effects and a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model and know you're gonna make money because everybody wants to see that. It's basically Transformers at sea. And I have to say, I really like Taylor Kitsch. I liked him in John Carter. I think he's a leading man. I think he's talented. He carries this movie. He does a really good job. Liam Neeson is not in this movie a lot.
No, this is the Taylor Kitsch show.
He's
Even
in, like,
more
every
so than
shot.
Friday Night Lights was the Taylor Kitsch show.
Yeah.
And I actually thought that he was not that great in John Carter. I had
liked him in
doubts
John Carter.
of his leading man status, but here I was like, you've got it.
Going in.
I probably went in with really low expectations, and that helped me be more pleasantly surprised by this movie. But if you liked Transformers, especially the original Transformers, the first movie.
This is better than 2 Transformers movies.
Yeah, I think it's kind of on par with the first one. It's a fun ride, it's popcorn, it's explosions. We really shouldn't be analyzing it too much.
No, if you've seen the trailers, you know what's coming.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you that the action that you wanna see is there. Taylor Kitsch does a great job. It's not perfect. I've somehow, just by talking about it, I like the movie less.
Yeah, you shouldn't talk about it.
No, don't talk about it. Just go see it. Zone out for a little while.
So what are you gonna give it?
I'm gonna give Battleship a 7, although if we keep talking about it, that could lower.
I'm giving it a 6.
Hungry, Hungry Hippos, the movie would be amazing.
I'd like to see Mousetrap the movie.
Mousetrap the movie, and you get Clue in there, you got your whole box set. We'll be right back. Coming soon to Reviews on the Run, Mario and his friends take to the court in Mario Tennis Open. Prepare to slay mythic beasts in Dragon's Dogma. Journey to the new frontier of warfare in Starhawk. And radioactive atrocities are revealed in the Chernobyl Diaries. Today on the show, Jose and Ben sank each other's battleships. Bland, boring, and repetitive, this should have been a cheap downloadable game. Steve and Raju played with VooMote Zapper, a great universal remote for almost anything, but it's small and can be easily lost. Scott unleashed Darksiders and the buried treasure. Great blend of gameplay, and War is a complete badass with lots of cool moves. Scott and I took to the 3DS skies in Ace Combat Assault Horizon Legacy. Good production values, but the single-player campaign is too short. Shaun and Marissa squared off in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. The graphics are dated and the control system is lacking. Finally, Miri and Ben saw Battleship on the big screen. Fun with lots of action, but it's a movie based on a board game. Enough said. The Rogers must-buy of the day is the VooMote Zapper.
It is TQOD time. Today's question comes from Eric Chamberlain on Twitter. He wants to know, if I receive my media pass for E3, can I crash in your hotel room? I barely snore and I sleep with my clothes on.
No.
No. Listen, if you have more questions for us, go to our website, reviewsontherun.com. We're also on Facebook and Twitter, Reviews on the Run, all one word. This man is Victor_Lucas on Twitter.
My man here is Scott C. Jones. Thanks for watching.
And we'll see you next time.